our Jewish communities are rapidly growing. I've been working to deliver millions of dollars in infrastructure funding, healthcare funding, other critical needs as the Jewish community, and proudly so, grows in our district.
And Mr. Ryan, I will give you 30 more seconds because I did ask you a question and you wanted to respond. So you can take 30 seconds if you want to respond to some of the claims, sir.
I appreciate it. You know, with all respect, Allison, I think you just moved to this community to run for this office.
That is absolutely
And if you
untrue.
had actually spent time in the district talking to any of our constituents, especially Jewish constituents, you would know I have firmly stood with them. In fact, my own district office was violently attacked because of that stance that I've taken. So I just think, unfortunately, your information is incorrect.
And Ms. Esposito, you have 30 seconds to respond.
Which is why he learned his lesson to thread the line. I do want to address the not living here. I grew up in Orange County, and I built my home in Goshen 20 years ago. I have been in Orange County for most of my life, and it's absolutely ludicrous. Again, Pat Ryan has nothing to stand on, no positive outcomes to stand on, no policies to stand on. So he is going to resort to lying and hope that the American public buys it. But I don't think they're going to. I've been in the district talking to people.
Pat Ryan's calm face said everything. The moment Allison Esposito accused him of ignoring the Jewish community, the debate shifted. Ryan didn't raise his voice. He simply looked at her and said she had just moved into the district to run for office. He reminded everyone that his own office had been vandalized for standing up against anti-Semitism. The crowd felt the shift immediately. Esposito tried to fire back, but the confidence was gone. Ryan had turned defense into offense without breaking a sweat.
The American dream is slipping away, and we have to lower the price of everything. As I traveled the district and as I traveled the state in the prior election, I heard from people that my children can't live here, so I'm not going to get to see my grandbabies raised here because we're overtaxed, we're overregulated, and there's just no availability of affordable housing because everything is expensive. But we can't paint all of New York with the same broad brush that Kathy Hochul wants to do or federal task forces want to do. And New York City is very different than my home district, and I very much believe in local control. We have to be lowering taxes, stopping our attack on energy, and making people more prosperous, bringing jobs back to the Hudson Valley so that people can afford to live here. Plus, we have to stop the out of control spending that brought inflation to a 40-year high, making groceries ridiculous to afford, making gas prices ridiculous to afford. We have to help our struggling Americans, and that's not what's happening with Bidenomics and far-left politicians that are overtaxing us.
Thank you, Ms. Esposito. Mr. Ryan, I know you touched on this a little bit, but if you want to outline some of the specific affordable housing plans that you would do in Congress, 60 seconds.
And I agree with a lot of what Allison said. What I didn't hear, though, unfortunately, was any actual specific housing policy. This is something I've worked really hard on, both as county exec and now in Congress. I actually just authored 4 specific bills to bring down housing costs and boost housing supply for veterans, for seniors, for working people, and also co-sponsored 7 others as part of a comprehensive housing agenda. The details and the specifics matter, and understanding this at the ground level. So, for example, I called on the Fed, and they listened, to lower interest rates, bringing down mortgage costs and bringing down rents. I introduced a bill to make sure Wall Street speculators coming into the Hudson Valley, and I've seen this firsthand, buying up homes, are prevented from doing that. There's several other pieces to it. I'm getting the 15-second cue, but would love to continue if I can get a few more minutes to talk about all the other specific pieces on housing.
We are ending this section. Ms. Esposito, I think you were asking for a response here. You could have 30 seconds.
We have to bring down overall prices for our Americans. They are struggling every day. And the people of the Hudson Valley, like I said, are struggling to put food on the table or gas in their car. And if we don't lower taxes, regulations, and support small businesses, we're never going to be allowed to or able to give them the American dream that was promised to us. And it's very unfortunate. And
Mr. Ryan will get the last word here, 30 seconds, and then we are moving on.
I do just think it's important in a policy debate to note, unfortunately, still no specific housing policy for my opponent.
Their clash had been building from the start. On housing, Esposito talked about high taxes and overregulation. She repeated the same talking points voters had heard for years. Ryan, in contrast, gave direct solutions. He spoke about bills he had already introduced to lower mortgage costs and block corporate investors from buying homes meant for local families. His answers sounded like action, not slogans.
Let's go ahead and talk about the widening conflict in the Middle East now. A hard pivot here, but just 2 days ago, we, of course, marked the one-year anniversary of the October 7th terror attack by Hamas on Israel. It killed 1,200 people. 250 hostages were also taken on that day. The ensuing fighting has killed tens of thousands of Palestinians. And just last week, Iran fired missiles at Israel. It was in retaliation for the targeting of terrorists in Lebanon. The United States helped shoot down some of those missiles. Mr. Ryan, we're beginning with you this time. Should U.S. troops be on the ground in the region? 60 seconds.
We already have some troops on the ground in the Middle East. I spent 27 months myself in combat in Iraq. We should not be committing, to be clear, additional troops at this time. That's one of my main reasons that I ran for Congress and I'm so proud to serve, is making sure that our young men and women, and when I especially go to West Point and I look those cadets in the eye, we owe them making sure that we are really serious and doing all the thinking before we, God forbid, send them to harm's way. We are thankfully, with the forces on the ground, standing strongly and firmly with our critical ally, Israel, with whom we share both values and interests. As they're facing incredibly unprecedented attacks from Iran, we need to increase the pressure and rigor in deterring Iran and stand strongly with Israel, and of course do everything that we can to try to stop the loss of innocent civilian life in these conflicts.
Mr. Ryan, a quick follow-up before I come to you, Ms. Esposito. Is there anything or any action Israel could take that would make you lose support for the Jewish state? 30 seconds.
Not that I can think of.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Ms. Esposito, the same initial question that I asked him. Would you be in favor of committing additional U.S. ground troops in the Middle East right now? 60 seconds.
At this point, no. I don't want to put any of our troops into harm's way unnecessarily. And like the Congressman said, we already have troops in harm's way, and I thank them and him for his service. But we must stand with our ally, Israel. And again, this is when the Congressman does one thing and says another, and it's really unfortunate. Israel is our greatest ally. And this war could end tomorrow if Hamas would lay down its weapons, surrender, and release our hostages. We have American hostages over there. But the Congressman, time and again, has voted against additional aid or against aid to Israel. Happened right after the October 7th incident happened. And then a standalone bill, again, he voted against. He's voted against condemning anti-Semitism. He has called for a ceasefire. We have to support our staunch ally, Israel, because Hamas isn't just calling for the end of Israel. They're calling for the destruction of America. And we have to stand strong against terrorism on all its fronts.
Mr. Ryan, I'm coming to you for a response, but the same sort of button-up question that I asked him first, please. Is there any action that Israel could take that would make you lose support for the Jewish state? Up to 30 seconds.
No, Israel has every right to defend itself right now, and they are doing so as carefully as they possibly can to avoid any further loss of human life. But we need those hostages back, and if Hamas laid down their weapons, this war would be over.
Mr. Ryan, you have 30 seconds for a response, sir.
I agree. I've been working incredibly hard. I'm proud to serve on the Armed Services Committee to bring home our hostages. In fact, over the weekend, I spoke with 2 different families from our Hudson Valley community that are still missing their loved ones due to the horrific, barbaric attacks of Hamas. So to those families, to Maurice and the Schneider family, to the Weinstein Hagai family, we and I are going to continue to fight to get our hostages home.
Then came foreign policy. When asked about the conflict in the Middle East, Ryan leaned on his military experience. He talked about serving in Iraq and knowing what it means to send troops into danger. He supported Israel's right to defend itself, but stressed the need to protect innocent lives. Esposito tried to accuse him of voting against Israel, but Ryan quickly corrected her. He explained that he had worked with hostage families in his own district and supported security assistance through legitimate channels. By this point, Ryan's tone had complete control of the room. He wasn't emotional or defensive. He used facts, local ties, and calm authority. Esposito's arguments began to sound thin and rehearsed. When she claimed he didn't care about Jewish safety, he turned it around in one sentence and questioned her connection to the community itself. That moment defined the night. Ryan exposed her weak footing, showing that knowing the district matters,